let me ask you something, just between the two of us. When you look at what you have saved for retirement right now, today, how does it honestly make you feel? Proud? Anxious? A little embarrassed, maybe? Whatever that number is, $1,000 or a million, I want you to hear me very clearly before we begin. Where you are standing right now is a perfectly fine place to start. Nobody is judging you here, least of all me. Because the truth that took me far too long to learn is this: your whole life quietly changes at each savings level. Not just your bank account, but you. The way you sleep at night. The way you breathe when a bill arrives. The way you walk into a room. The fear you carry in your chest, or the fear you finally get to set down. Today, I am going to walk you up 4 of these levels, one careful step at a time. $1,000, $10,000, $100,000, and $1 million. And at each single one, I will tell you honestly what life really feels like there, what that money can and cannot do for you, and the one most important habit to climb to the very next step. So as we go, find your level.
Do not look away from it, and do not be ashamed of it. Just find it, and let us take this walk together. Because I am telling you, from experience, it is never, ever too late to start climbing. Let's begin.
Now, before we take that very first step, let me tell you the one thing that surprised me most about this whole climb, because I wish someone had told me sooner. For years, I simply assumed it was all about the number getting bigger. More dollars, the very same life, just with a slightly fatter cushion underneath me. But I promise you, that is not how it works at all. Each level does not merely add money to a pile. It changes the actual feeling of being alive. The jump from nothing up to $1,000 feels completely and utterly different from the jump from $100,000 up to $1 million, even though that second jump is many hundreds of times larger in raw dollars. And why is that? Because the first jump buys you survival, and the last jump buys you peace. And those are 2 entirely different things. And here's the other quiet secret that almost nobody bothers to tell you. The habit that gets you to each level is not the same habit that got you to the last one. What builds your very first $1,000 is not at all what protects your very first million. A saver slowly becomes an investor, and an investor eventually becomes a protector.
The skills themselves change as you climb higher. So please do not feel bad or broken if the thing that worked before suddenly stops working, or if the next level up seems to ask something new and unfamiliar of you. That is completely normal. That, my friend, is simply the nature of the climb itself. Every single rung teaches you the exact lesson you will need for the next one. So keep an open mind as we go up together, and watch closely how the whole game quietly changes right beneath your feet at each and every level.
Let's start at the very first rung of the ladder, $1,000. Now, I know that to some people, $1,000 sounds small, almost not even worth talking about. But I want to tell you something, and I want you to really believe it. This is one of the most important thresholds you will ever cross in your entire financial life. Because before this $1,000, you are living on a knife's edge, whether you let yourself admit it or not. Every unexpected bill is a genuine crisis. The car makes a strange new noise on the highway, and your stomach drops. A tooth starts aching late at night, and you find yourself just hoping and praying it goes away on its own because you truly cannot afford the dentist this month. When you have nothing at all set aside, every small problem in life instantly becomes an emergency. And worse than that, it usually becomes debt. You reach for the credit card because, honestly, what else can you do? And now that small $200 problem follows you for months and months, quietly growing with interest, stealing a little more from your future every single day.
So what does it actually feel like to finally have that first $1,000 sitting safely in the bank? I will tell you exactly. It feels like taking a deep breath that you did not even realize you had been holding for years. It is a small but solid wall standing between you and disaster.
The car repair becomes an annoyance instead of a catastrophe. The dentist becomes an appointment instead of an impossible dream. Now let me be honest with you about the limits, because I always will be. That $1,000 will not make you rich, and it will not solve every problem you have. It cannot fund your retirement. It cannot pay for a long illness or a lost year of income. But that is not its job, and you must not ask it to do a job it was never meant for. Its only job is to stop the bleeding. Its job is to break that miserable cycle where every single setback shoves you deeper into a hole you can never climb out of. And here is the exact habit that gets you to this first level and then keeps carrying you upward. Automate it and make it tiny.
Please do not try to save $1,000 in one heroic, painful month, because you will almost certainly fail, and then you will feel even worse than when you started. Instead, set up a small automatic transfer, whatever amount you can manage without real pain, every single week into a separate savings account that you do not look at and do not touch. $20, $25, even $15. The exact number matters far less than you think. The real secret, the magic of it, is that it happens all on its own, quietly, without you having to summon the willpower or feel the sting of sacrifice every time. You will barely notice it leaving, and then one day you will look, and the 1,000 will be there. And once it is there, you protect it fiercely. This is not money for a nicer television or a weekend away. This is your shield. Guard it with everything you have.
Let's climb up to the second level, $10,000. If $1,000 was all about pure survival, then $10,000 is about something far sweeter and far more human. It is about breathing room. It is about genuine peace of mind. When you finally cross into this territory, something real shifts inside of you. And it is not only about the money in the account. It is about your own nervous system finally being allowed to rest after years of quiet tension. Let me describe for you what life actually feels like here, because it is worth working toward. At $10,000, the ordinary storms of life simply do not frighten you the way they used to. The furnace dies in the dead of winter. Now, a few short years ago, that one sentence would have ruined your entire month, kept you awake at 3 in the morning doing frantic, hopeless math on the ceiling. But now it is a headache, not a heartbreak. You call the repairman, you pay the bill, you feel a little grumpy about it, and then you move on with your life like it was nothing. A surprise medical bill arrives in the mail. The car needs an expensive new transmission.
A grown child calls, embarrassed, needing a little help to get through a rough patch, and you can handle all of it, calmly, without panic, and without ever reaching for that high-interest credit card again. That, my friend, is what real financial peace feels like in its early form. And here is something I promise you from my own life. You will begin to sleep better. And I mean that quite literally, not as a figure of speech. Money stress is one of the great silent thieves of good sleep, robbing you night after night, and at this level, you finally start winning some of those precious nights back. So what can $10,000 actually do for you? It can absorb the real, serious bumps of life without knocking you over. It can cover several months of your essential expenses if your income suddenly stops, which means that a job loss or a health scare no longer immediately threatens the roof over your head. And what can it not do just yet? Well, it is still not your retirement. It is not producing much income for you on its own. It remains a strong safety net, not yet a true source of freedom. And that is completely right and proper for this stage of the climb.
So what is the habit that builds this level and quietly points you toward the next one? It is really two things working together in harmony. First, you keep that automatic saving going faithfully, but now you let the fund grow with real intention behind it, aiming for a solid 3 to 6 months of your basic living costs. Second, and this part is absolutely crucial, while you build that cushion, you must wage all-out war on any high-interest debt you are carrying. Credit card debt at 20-something% interest is a fire actively burning down your future, far faster than any humble savings account could ever hope to fill it back up. So, you keep a solid emergency fund for true emergencies, and then you throw every single extra dollar you can find at that debt, relentlessly, until it is completely and permanently dead. Peace of mind and freedom from debt, marching together, side by side. That is the whole game at $10,000.
Now we arrive at a level that genuinely changes the entire shape of your life. $100,000. This is where something almost magical quietly begins to happen. And here's the sad part. Most people in this world never get to feel it for themselves. So please, pay very close attention. Up until this exact point, every single dollar you ever saved came purely from your own effort, your own sweat, your own discipline, one hard-earned dollar stacked upon another. But at $100,000, your money finally becomes a worker in its own right. It begins to earn money for you while you are sleeping, while you are out in the garden, while you are laughing with your grandchildren on a Sunday afternoon. This is the true beginning of what they call compounding. And I am telling you, it is the closest thing to real magic that exists anywhere in the entire world of money. What does life feel like once you are here? It feels like options, and it feels like dignity. For the very first time, you are no longer completely trapped by your circumstances. Perhaps you do not love your job.
Now, $100,000 does not let you march in and quit forever tomorrow, I will not lie to you. But it does give you the quiet confidence to look for something better, or to finally ask for the raise, or simply to take a steadying breath and stand your ground instead of clinging on in pure fear. You suddenly have real choices. Choices about your time, choices about where you might live, choices about how you weather a crisis. And that feeling, the simple feeling of having genuine choices in your life, is one of the great quiet luxuries a human being can have, and your money at this level starts to purchase it for you bit by bit. So what can $100,000 actually do? Invested sensibly, it can begin generating a few $1,000s a year all on its own, without you lifting a finger. And far more importantly, it can grow substantially over the years without you adding another single dime, although you certainly should keep adding whenever you can. And what can it not do? For most ordinary people, it is not quite yet enough to retire on completely and never think about money again.
It is a powerful engine, yes, but the engine is still just warming up. So here is the habit that defines this whole level, and I want you to notice that it is a completely different kind of habit than the ones before. Now, the task is about letting your money do its work, and then wisely staying out of its way. You invest it sensibly for long-term growth in simple, low-cost, broadly diversified funds, rather than chasing hot tips from a neighbor or trying to outsmart everyone and get clever. You keep your investment costs low because high hidden fees will quietly devour your returns over the decades without you ever noticing the theft. And most important of all, you develop the hard discipline to stop touching the principal. You let it compound in peace. The great temptation at this level, and it catches so many good people, is to raid this growing pile for a want that has cleverly disguised itself as a need. You must resist that with everything in you. This money has become a golden goose. Do not, whatever you do, cook the goose for one nice dinner. Feed it, protect it, and let it lay its golden eggs for many years to come.
And now, at last, we reach the very summit of our climb for today, $1 million. Now, I want to be extremely careful and completely honest with you about this particular number, because I promise you, the whole world lies to you about what $1 million truly means. The movies and the advertisements show you yachts and sports cars and buckets of champagne. But I have known real people who have $1 million, ordinary people. And I will tell you plainly what it actually buys. And it is something far, far more valuable than any yacht ever built. It buys the absence of fear.
What does life genuinely feel like at $1 million? It feels like freedom. Not the reckless freedom of a fool, but the deep, still, quiet freedom of knowing, truly knowing that if you remain sensible, you will very likely never run out of money before you run out of life. And that one specific fear, the terrible fear of outliving your own savings, of becoming a burden on the people you love, of being old and broke and helpless all at once, that fear is the single heaviest weight that the vast majority of retirees carry silently in their hearts.
$1 million, handled with wisdom, finally lifts that crushing weight right off your chest. You wake up in the morning, and the money question is simply no longer the loudest, most frightening voice in your mind. There is also something else that this level quietly unlocks, and it is genuinely beautiful, perhaps the most beautiful thing of all. It is the ability to give, to help a grandchild through school without a second thought, to be quietly generous to the people and the causes that you love the most. There is a profound dignity and a deep joy in being the one who is able to help others, rather than being the one who always needs the help. So what can $1 million actually do? Sensibly invested and carefully drawn down over time, it can produce a meaningful and lasting income for the rest of your natural life, working hand in hand with your Social Security and any pension to form a strong, reliable floor beneath absolutely everything else you do. And what can it not do? Here is the cruel and important truth. It cannot protect itself from your own carelessness. This is the great, painful irony of reaching the very top level. Far more people ruin a large nest egg through simple, avoidable mistakes than ever actually get to relax and enjoy the fruits of it. So the habit at this level is no longer about earning even one more dollar. It is entirely, completely about protecting and wisely managing what you have already built with such effort. You must guard it carefully against the big, catastrophic mistakes, the panic selling of your investments in the middle of a scary downturn, the hidden tax traps that ambush the unprepared, the sketchy, too-good-to-be-true investments that promise the moon, and the well-meaning but wildly expensive advice from a smiling someone who is really just selling you their products. You make a clear, calm, written plan for exactly how this money will produce your income, so that it pays you steadily and reliably year after year. At this level, a good, honest, fee-only fiduciary, someone legally bound to put your interests first, is no longer any kind of luxury. They are your trusted partner in defense. Because reaching the summit is one thing, and it is a wonderful thing.
But staying there and getting to actually enjoy the beautiful view for the rest of your days, well, that is the real and final victory.
So let us bring this whole long climb together now, because I truly want you to see it clearly, all at once, as one single ladder standing right in front of you. At $1,000, you build your very first shield, and you stop the small problems of life from ever becoming full disasters. At $10,000, you find real peace of mind, and you finally get to sleep through the whole night again. At $100,000, your money quietly becomes a hard-working worker of its own, and you gain genuine options and real dignity. And at $1 million, you get to buy the absence of fear itself, and you gain both the freedom and the quiet joy of being able to give to others. Now here's what I most deeply want you to carry away from our time together today, so please hold on to it. Do not look up at the very top of this ladder and feel a wave of despair because it seems so impossibly far away from where you stand. That is entirely the wrong way to see any of this. Instead, do this. Find the exact rung that you're standing on right now, wherever it happens to be, with absolutely no shame in your heart at all, and then simply pour your focus into the one single habit that lifts you up to the very next step, just the next one. If you have nothing set aside yet, then automate $20 a week and go build your first $1,000. If you already have your cushion, then go to war and kill your high-interest debt. If your money is already growing nicely, then leave the principal alone and let it quietly work its magic.
Because every single level on this ladder is a real, meaningful, hard-won victory. And every single one of them makes your actual life genuinely better, calmer, safer, and freer than the level standing just below it. You do not have to climb the entire ladder by tomorrow morning. You truly do not. You only have to take the next single step this week. And I promise you faithfully, from right where I'm standing today, the view only gets better and more peaceful at every level you reach. And let me say one last thing, straight from my heart to yours, because I have watched too many good and decent people get this one part wrong.
Do not wait until you feel completely ready, or until you finally have more time, or until some perfect future moment magically arrives to begin. I'm telling you honestly, that moment never actually comes. The person who starts with just $20 a week today, imperfectly and maybe even a little bit scared, ends up in a completely different and better place than the one who keeps waiting patiently for all the stars to align. Small actions, taken right now and repeated faithfully, will quietly beat grand and perfect plans that never once get started. You will not even feel the $20 leaving your account, but in a single year, you will most certainly feel the $1,000 arriving. And that one thing changes absolutely everything that comes after it. So please do not aim for perfect, just aim for started. The ladder does not care one bit how slowly you climb it. It only cares that you keep taking the steps. If this helped you at all today, then please stay with me, because in the very next video, I am going to show you exactly how to build that crucial first cushion, even if you are starting today from absolutely nothing at all. I will see you there.
And until then, my friend, keep climbing.